Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays. Here it is, the summer, almost the end of 2020. It's been a horrible year um, as far as what's going on outside and other things. But the film strip keeps rolling, so to speak, with me watching movies, and it's been a tradition in past summers that I would do like a Western movie-a-thon, maybe picking some of my favorite Westerns and watching them a few, like maybe two each day for like a month or something like that, maybe more or less. And last year I did something different. I basically was watching most of the movies Randolph Scott made, his Western movies. So I had the movies he made with Bud Budaker. I pretty much have all those, and I was familiar with him as an actor and everything. But I caught one of his other movies, and I went on like a movie hunt with him. I was like hunting down movies and getting them in the mail and whatnot and watching them each day. So I had like a new movie like all this time. So I really got into Randolph Scott, and it turned out pretty cool, and everything. Big fan. So this year I kind of thought, well, let's do the same thing. I have a good amount of Joel McCrea movies. So I did the same thing. I've been watching Joel McCrea as my featured Western star, that I'm going to watch his movies, kind of have a film festival throughout the summer. Well, anyways, I'm still hunting down some, and that video will come soon, and I'll show you that one. And I do have a Randolph Scott video on my channel if you want to watch it. I may redo that video for the future, because I've had some ideals to do it, maybe do it better. But in the meantime, that's on there. So anyway, that takes us to today, and these are some random Westerns that I've got here recently, mostly from eBay and Amazon. I was about to say eBay and Amazon. So here's some new movies. They're all used. I didn't pay much for them. Under $10, all of them. So I just want to show you those. I don't want to Western you guys out with Western content, but like right now in the summer, I'm kind of in that Western mood and stuff. So big fan of Western movies. As I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed Western, and there's so many, dating back to the 20s, to the silent movie days, all the way up till, now they make some. But what I'm a fan of are Western movies from maybe the late part of the 30s, like 1939, starting with like Stagecoach, John Ford's classic, and some other movies from 39, all the way to like maybe 1975. So all those decades they made Westerns. In the 50s alone, they made a ton of Westerns, and a lot of them really good. So, there's plenty of movies for me to discover in the Western genre. So that brings us up to now, and enough babbling, let's get to the stuff. Today I got 1959's Warlock. This is the widescreen edition. 20th Century Fox release. This is, if you remember the early days of DVD, 20th Century Fox was pretty big about putting out a full screen and a widescreen. Well, this is widescreen, baby. So, a little bit about this movie. It was directed by Edward Dmytryk, which was he was a very good director, did film noir and all kinds of stuff. Stars Henry Fonda, Anthony Quinn, Richard Widmark, Dorothy Malone, and basically the setting is a small western town, new frontier town. They're having problems with outlaw gangs coming through and ransacking everything, killing people, robbing stuff, just being a big pain in the badass, basically. So Henry Fonda and Anthony Quinn play kind of a duo. They kind of go from town to town cleaning things up. The town will hire them, and they will clean up the town. Kind of the Seven Samurai. God, I can't even say it. Seven Samurai. Where the villagers pay, the samurai to come in and clean stuff up. Well, this is kind of like that kind of premise. And Anthony Quinn and Henry Fonda are hired. Henry Fonda is kind of a superstar gunfighter, gunslinger. He's got gold-plated Colt 45s. He's real flashy. He's like a rock star of the day. And Anthony Quinn is kind of he wouldn't be anything without Henry Fonda's character. So they're cleaning up the town, and there's this one outlaw gang that's really making just being a real hassle to this town. And one of the gang members is played by Richard Widmark, and he witnesses something, the gang killing a townsperson and just doing some stuff, and he has a moment of clarity and like morals, and his conscience is speaking to him. It's like, I quit. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. He goes basically straight to the sheriff's office and say, I want to help out. I want to do this. I want to, So he basically becomes deputized and becomes a deputy to the sheriff and everything. And he kind of ends up helping, Henry Fonda and Anthony Quinn at times doing it. Where you find the former outlaw killer, the bad guy, becomes really good, and he does like a 360 flip where he's really good, and someone like Henry Fonda, who the townspeople kind of look down on because he's just a paid killer, but he's a good paid killer because he takes care of the outlaws. But basically he does the same thing as the outlaw does, is kill people. So he's kind of, at the same time, Henry Fonda is kind of weighing on his conscience, what does he do compared to, what he's paid to do. And, he's having a real tug of war in himself. And this is a good example of the 1950s, especially the late part and early 60s, where you start seeing a lot of Hollywood movies have a very adult, the psychological westerns and the westerns with the good guy character who's just, who doesn't believe in himself, or he's battling with something. He's not really a great guy, but but he is the good guy. You start seeing a lot of westerns like that. A lot of those are the more psychological westerns and stuff. And this movie, I believe, falls in that category really well. It's got a lot of different stuff going on throughout it. And basically they clean this town up, and got some notes here. But once they clean it up, Henry Fonda's like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I just want to settle down. He's fallen in love. He wants to be low key. He wants to be a regular person. He doesn't want to kill anymore. And Anthony Quinn really gets upset by this because he wants to continue doing this. Living the high life and going from town to town and being rock stars, basically. And so Anthony Quinn's really nothing without Henry Fonda. So they kind of have their moment and stuff without giving too much away. Basically at the end, the bad guy, Richard Widmark, is the good guy. He's redeemed from the beginning of the movie where he was part of the outlaw gang and he became good, and by the end he's the hero, and he's redeemed himself 100% at that point, which is just a phenomenal movie, phenomenal story. It's a top-notch script. which is a great example of intelligence and darker themes in westerns of the 1950s and 60s. You know, the movies by people like Anthony Mann and people like that, Fritz Lang and stuff, just darker themed movies. So yeah, Warlock is a great movie. If you've never seen it, you got to pick it up. And yeah, this is a good example. This was when I bought this was an X video rental. The cover's kind of faded where it was in sunlight and has its sticker, video rental sticker there with a not rated stuff. That's pretty cool. But yeah, moving right on. The next movie I got is called Valerie from 1957, and this one, you can tell this was part of a library sale, and the King County Library System. That kind of covers up the name. It's got a barcode and all that stuff. But Valerie is a movie from 1957. It stars Sterling Hayden, which is one of my favorite actors of all time. It's got Anita Ekberg, famous blonde-haired Swiss model, I believe. Anthony Steele. And this is the movie directed by Gerd Oswald, which I'm not really sure. I've heard of his name, but I'm not really sure of his filmology. So basically, this is a movie of, it's kind of a psychological, it kind of reminds me of an old episode of like The Twilight Zone, not in a science fiction way, but like the characters. It has kind of almost an old TV kind of feel to it, TV show feel. But it has, Sterling Hayden is a veteran of the Civil War. He comes home. His father and mother pass away. He inherits all this land and stuff, and he has his brothers live under him, and they basically do whatever he says. He's basically the leader of the family. And what you get is you get two sides of the story movie. You get the movie told by his wife, played by Anita Ekberg. So you get her side of the story, and then you get Sterling Hayden's side of the story. So it ends up being a courtroom drama at the end where he's put on trial for attempting to kill his wife and murdering her parents. So, and it's told from different perspectives. It almost reminds you of Rashomon in a way, the Akira Kurosawa movie, Japanese movie, with told in flashbacks and from different characters' opinions. You even get the brother's perspective on it. He tells his story, which is told in flashback. So it's a really interesting movie. It wasn't what I expected. It kind of ends, it kind of wraps up and everything, and it kind of leaves you thinking like, oh man, I wanted it to do this, but I basically bought it for Sterling Hayden, and he's always good in everything. And but yeah, it's kind of an odd western from the late 50s. I think United Artists released it and everything. But yeah, interesting video. I'm not saying it wasn't good, and I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, it may be a movie I might not watch over again, but I don't know. I may come back to it. But anyways, Valerie from 1957. Next up, we have The Proud Ones. This is a movie from 1956. It stars the great Robert Ryan, another one of my favorite actors. You might know him from The Wild Bunch, as the guy that pays the Wild Bunch to go in and everything. That's Robert Ryan. It also stars Jeffrey Hunter, which he has a really good part in this movie. Virginia Mayo and Walter Brennan also round out the cast. Walter Brennan plays the jailer. He's an older jailer, and he is so good in this movie. I guess Walter Brennan's one of my favorite actors too. He's never really starred in a movie that I can think of, but he's so good, you know, as a character actor. He's such a good character actor. But he plays the jailer. Robert Ryan is the sheriff of the town, and this is basically when this I don't know, this guy, Robert Ryan and his girlfriend lived in another town, and they got away from a situation. They got a past to them, and it starts unfolding their past after this man and his crew move into town, and they start a casino, like a casino saloon type of place. And Robert Ryan had dealings with him in another town where he basically has gunmen. He's pretty shady, runs his saloon and gambling, cheats people out, and takes their money, and he's just a real bad guy. And he basically, Robert Ryan ran from him in the other town, and he's kind of people kind of snicker at him and kind of talk about him behind his back that he was a coward and he ran away, but nobody knows the story. And the other thing is Jeffrey Hunter is with some of his men that move with him. You know, he's a combination of just gunmen and stuff like that. Well, anyways, Robert Ryan killed Jeffrey Hunter's father in the other town because he was a really no good guy. He was a really low down killer, just bad guy. He got shot. You know, Robert Ryan was the sheriff, everything, and Jeffrey Hunter finds out, oh, this is Robert Ryan. You know, this is the guy that killed my father. You know, he wants to have his words with him, and he's been waiting to kill this man his whole life. So they cross paths, and Robert Ryan's doing all this stuff for him. You know, he's like, he breaks his leg somehow. He gets shot, and he can't do his job as a cattle rustler or whatever or something. So he's like, hey, I can give you a job at the jail. And then he does something else, and he's helping him, and he's talking to him, and da-da-da. Eventually he joins the sheriff's department with him as a deputy. And there's a lot of scenes where he had a chance to kill him, but he doesn't, and all this stuff. And it's really good. Of course, you got the showdown where Robert Ryan's gonna, fix that whole coward business when, really... I'm not gonna give all the secrets away about it, but it's a really good movie. Robert Ryan's really underrated. He's such a good actor. War movies, westerns, and dramas, and all kinds of stuff. But really good movie. The Proud Ones. The cover of this just doesn't do it justice. It's just I don't know. Just doesn't do it justice. But anyway, it's a great movie. I found it, did some research, and I found it. I'm really glad I did. Next up, guys, is a movie starring George Montgomery. It's called Robber's Roost, and this is from 1955. Stars George Montgomery. Now, he's an actor that was pretty big name back in the 50s and stuff, and he did a bunch of westerns. He was a big western star. Not as famous as John Wayne or even Randolph Scott. But he done a bunch of movies. I mean, he might be a candidate one summer and search out all his movies and watch them. But he's really good in this movie. I've got a few with George Montgomery in it, and he's really good in this. He's a man who's searching for the three men responsible for the rape and murder of his wife. He joins this gang of cattle rustlers. And he basically moves, with them, and they're moving, like, trying to rustle 6,000 head of cattle, and he's hiding out from the law, and and he finds out, this happened to him, and then he's wanted by the law, and he's hiding out. Of course, he falls in love, and really good movie. I really didn't, I didn't know what to expect from it, really. But if you see, the woman he falls in love with, her father is in this wheelchair, and he kind of runs this ranch with all these cattle and stuff, and it's a really good movie. George Montgomery's a really good actor. I'm going to keep his name. He's a good Western actor. Has the presence and everything. So yeah, he's going to be a name I'm going to kind of keep in my back of my head and maybe search out some of his movies in the future. But yeah, Robbers Roost is really good. Next up, I got a movie that's got Gregory Peck. It's called Only the Valiant, and this came out in 1951. Stars Gregory Peck, Barbara Payton, Ward Bond, Gig Young, Lon Chaney Jr., and it's directed by Gordon Douglas. And Gregory Peck is basically a hard-nosed leader of a rough group of cavalry soldiers. This takes place during the Civil War. He's on the north side, and he's by the book. He's hard-nosed, he's just by the book. He's hard on his men. He's like unfeeling, blah, blah, blah. He starts alienating his men in his group, in his unit, and things intensify when he assigns a popular lieutenant to take his place on a dangerous mission, delivering a captured Apache chief across the desert to another army outpost, a stronger one that can keep him in jail. And then when the group is attacked, and the lieutenant gets hit and everything, and he gets viciously tortured by the Indian group, the Apaches. Tortured, and he ends up getting killed. The men are hold the Gregory Peck character. They hold him, accountable for his death and everything, because what he did was he didn't have to do that, and revenge looms on the horizon when some of the men are wanting to get Peck for what he did, and even the army are kind of closing in on him to investigate him with all the stuff he did. So it's a really interesting story. Gregory Peck, probably not one of my most favorite actors of all time, but he's very famous. You hear the name, you know who he is, and everything. And he's done some pretty interesting westerns over the years. I think his forte is really with dramas and stuff, but he's done some really good westerns, and this one's pretty good. I'd have to say, I was really surprised, and it was really good. This is a Republic Pictures release of this. It was actually a Warner Brothers movie. I thought that was kind of weird. It was Warner Brothers on a Republic Pictures release, which they do a lot of. Republic Pictures was their own studio back in the day, during this time even, so they must own the print or something of it, because it was originally a Warner Brothers movie. So yeah, there you go, Only the Valiant. Next up, final movie here. This is a movie also released on the Republic Pictures release Artisan Studio. It's called Pursued. And this is from 1947. It stars Robert Mitchum and Teresa Wright. She's a really good actress. I believe she was in some Alfred Hitchcock movies, or she was in at least one. She's a really good actress. Mitchum basically plays a jaded Civil War hero who he comes back. Basically the movie starts out with him as a child being, hiding in the floor of a cabin, kind of a shelter in a cabin. His family, his mom and dad, and everybody was killed by this man. And it shows a woman taking him and raising him as her own. And she has a son and daughter already. So, the movie kind of flashback, kind of moves forward with all of them grown up, the kids, and she tells stories of when he was a kid, and and he knows that's not his mom and everything and stuff like that. But there's a lot of questions of who his dad was, who was his mom, and where are they, and what happened to them, and what went on, and all this stuff. So there's a lot of secrets being held. There's a lot of lies being told to the other kids and stuff like that. The woman who took him in, her husband, her estranged husband, is very well off. He had fell into some money, and he's supported the kids, and they have a really nice ranch and really nice everything. And when Mitchum, he goes off to the Civil War, he comes back a hero, and at that point he's wanting to marry the girl, which, it's kind of weird. So you want to marry your sister, but they're no relation to each other, but still they kind of grown up together, but they were in love, and all this stuff. And then these secrets start coming out. The mom's like, you'll never marry my daughter because she knows all the secrets, and there's all these secrets and stuff, and it really boils down to the end. But see, I don't want to tell you all about this because it'd give the whole movie away. But this movie's really good. It's really got some great turns and some secrets and mystery. It's thrilling. It's not so much a cowboys and Indians movie. It's in the West. It takes place obviously after the Civil War and everything, but it's more suburban for that time frame. It's not out on the plains and stuff. So really good movie. If you get a chance, you can find this on eBay. Really good. Get Pursued. It's really good. Highly recommend it. It's from 1947, and I believe it might be on Bluray, but I went ahead and got the older DVD edition of that. So there you go. There's some, I guess you could say, odd movies, odd westerns. A few ones from Robert Mitchum, George Montgomery, Gregory Peck. Of course, you got the Henry Fondas, Richard Widmark, Anthony Quinn. So yeah, big names, them. These are some, apart from Warlock, they're all pretty much kind of odd movies. They're not the most famous westerns. Warlock's pretty famous as a western. I mean, it's on TV a lot and stuff like that. So there you go, guys. Go out there and see these movies, stream them. Like I said, Warlock's always on. It's always on TV a lot. It's always streaming. It's on some of the Western channels. I've seen it a couple times. It's been on TCM. But yeah, just check those out. I think you'll really be pleased with them. So there you go. If you haven't already subscribed to me, go ahead and subscribe, and hit that bell up there on the left or on the right of up there somewhere. Hit that bell. In doing so, you'll be notified when I release a new video. You'll get the notification that I got a new video out. And give me some comments. Give me some feedback on these. If you have any questions, comments, do you disagree with anything I've said? Just let me know. I'd love your feedback. And I would also, thumbs up would be great. Give that like. So there you go, guys. Until next time, I'm gonna have more movies to show you, some more oddball movies, some great groups of movies, and just be safe out there, guys, until all this craziness in the world's over with. Hopefully soon, but in the meantime, wear a mask, be safe, just be safe, and be cool, and escape for a couple hours. Watch a good movie and escape all the madness. Highly recommend that. So until next time, guys, I'm Mike, and see you later.